If you thought episode 9 of Yellowstone season 5 was a tearjerker, you might want to grab some tissue paper before hitting play on episode 10. The mood for season 5 is in stark contrast to what we have seen in Yellowstone so far. The grittiest cowboys are a bit solemn, and even Beth is breaking at the edges. This is all due to the looming sunset over the Yellowstone ranch in light of John Dutton's sudden death. The fatherly figure provided a home, shelter, and jobs for many people of all ages. So when he died, it wasn't only Beth and Casey who felt the loss. His passing not only affects his children, but also casts uncertainty over the future of the Yellowstone Ranch. As one of the largest ranches in the West, its dissolution or displacement would profoundly impact cowboy culture, agriculture, and rural livelihoods in the long term. This tone of melancholy around the potential sunset was established in episode 9, but a silver lining remained in the uncertainty that Jamie may change his stance. But episode 10 brings us closer to the inevitable. Before we start a quick recap of episode 10 and a breakdown of what it all means, please make sure that you have subscribed to the channel. If you're enjoying the content, don't forget to leave a like on this video and share it with a friend to discuss the latest episode over a drink. Now, without further ado, let's jump into what happened next after Beth and Rip's reunion at the end of episode 9. Episode 10 starts off on a low note, keeping the same tone as episode 9. It's not just the city politics working against them. Nature's been brutal too. Teeter has a close call with a snake, but makes it out okay, thanks to Rip. Unfortunately, the horses weren't so lucky. The whole snake incident feels like a sign from above that the ranch's days might be numbered. The heavy mood and the looming uncertainty have made Rip quieter than usual, and Beth definitely notices it too. When Beth visits Rip to take him away for a few days, it's a big reminder of how far they've come together. Fans might feel a sense of comfort and hope from their reunion. No matter what happens to Yellowstone, as long as they have each other, they'll be okay. Their relationship is my favorite in the series, and watching them grow as a couple to be what they are today has been quite the journey. I would follow these two anywhere. And Taylor Sheridan agrees. There have been rumors of a Beth and Rip spin-off show, and we are all for it. We'll keep you posted on everything we learn about this potential spin-off, but for now, back to episode 10. Beth and Rip enjoy some quality time at the hotel, dancing and chatting with the locals. During their getaway, Beth starts to realize just how much the ranch means to Rip. For him, staying in Montana, tied to Yellowstone, is more fulfilling than traveling the world. Beth realizes the thriving business the 4 Sixes has in Texas, with even putting out their own liquor brands. This is clearly Taylor Sheridan once again pushing his freshly acquired 4 Sixes ranch, along with his new 4 Sixes Grit and Glory beverage line. Not only is the 4 Sixes a cattle ranch, but Sheridan has made it a beverage brand as well as a pop-up steakhouse in Las Vegas. Another shameless plug for Sheridan in this series. But this leaves Beth lost in thought, though it's unclear what exactly she's planning. According to Rip, however, she's definitely up to something, and we might find out more in episode 11. In my opinion, she's scheming on how to level up the Yellowstone and save the ranch after John's passing. I wouldn't put anything past her savvy business brain. While Beth enjoys a romantic weekend with Rip, Casey is left uncertain about his future. And honestly, who wouldn't be given the state of the ranch? With John Dutton gone, the weight of responsibility now falls on Casey's shoulders, and he's got his own family to think about. His reaction to John's death might have been different if he didn't have a wife and son, but rash decisions aren't an option anymore, and that's tearing him apart. Casey wants to protect his family and be there for them, but he also feels the pull to honor his father's legacy. With all this weighing on him, Casey has a heartfelt conversation with his son Tate, asking where he sees himself in the future. Everyone expects Casey to step up and take John's place, but deep down, he's unsure if he wants to run the ranch the way his father did. For the first time, he opens up about his feelings, creating a touching moment that fans are sure to appreciate. Rip, on the other hand, is getting hit with a flood of questions from the worried wranglers. Everyone's anxious about the ranch's future, because their own futures are tied to it. But Rip isn't sugarcoating anything. When Lloyd asks if he should start looking for work elsewhere, Rip doesn't try to reassure him. Instead, he tells him to go ahead and start looking, which only adds to the feeling that Yellowstone's days might be numbered. This is the first time in the season that it actually hit me that this is the end of the Yellowstone's glory days as we know it. It was a punch to the gut, but something the fandom knew was coming, as it was common knowledge that this is supposed to be the last season. Rip also visits Carter, the punk of a kid who was taken in by the Duttons and put to work on the ranch after being arrested by Sheriff Donnie Haskell after attempting to rob a gas station. That kid is not so little anymore. After spending years under John's guidance, Carter looks extremely disturbed and depressed, but Rip convinces him to come back to work if he wants to be like John Dutton. Episode 10 also brings a surprise cameo from Summer Higgins, who shows up unannounced at Beth's doorstep. If you've forgotten, Summer was previously arrested during a protest, but received clemency from John Dutton after his election as governor of Montana. Her freedom came with a twist. She wasn't fully released, but placed under house arrest at the Dutton Ranch instead of serving time in jail. Now that John is gone, Summer's presence at the ranch feels even more complicated. Her environmental activism and clashing ideologies with the Duttons, especially Beth, have always made things tense, and it's clear those tensions haven't eased. Despite her efforts to adapt, she's still seen as an outsider in a world she doesn't fully understand. Beth, never one to hold back, wastes no time reminding Summer of exactly where she stands, making for some sharp and snarky exchanges. Summer explains to Beth that her house arrest still binds her. However, Beth quickly sets the record straight. John never imposed any such conditions. In reality, he orchestrated her stay at the ranch simply to keep her close. With John gone, Beth wastes no time letting Summer know she's no longer welcome. Well, that part was quite a shocker for everyone. Now that John Dutton is gone, it's even more gut-wrenching to realize that he genuinely had feelings for Summer and wanted to keep her around. Summer attempts to connect with Beth, trying to spark a heartfelt conversation, but Beth won't hear it. With that, Summer presumably bids Montana farewell for good. But unfortunately for the Yellowstone Ranch, their enemy isn't just changing times. It's Jamie, who seems determined to erase it from existence. This is what it all comes down to. Yellowstone fans know all too well how ruthless Beth can be, and crossing her is never a good idea. Now that it's about her own father, everyone expected a big showdown between her and Jamie, and they weren't disappointed. Storming into his office, Beth doesn't hold back, landing slap after slap without hesitation. But she only does it when Jamie refuses to answer her question, confirming her suspicion that he may be behind John's death. On her way out, she bumps into Sarah Atwood, Jamie's girlfriend, who taunts Beth until Beth grabs her by the throat and slams her into a desk. Beth informs Casey that Jamie wouldn't even deny his involvement in John's death. Casey's will to have any faith in Jamie has vanished. Casey enlists the help of a military friend to get to the bottom of this. Of course, this is the side of Casey that no one has seen before, even his own wife Monica, who's visibly worried about him. As a fan, I don't want Casey's character compromised and begin to take dark and dirty actions, but it appears that's exactly what he's planning. On the other hand, the fandom loves Casey and he can do no wrong, so we tend to turn a blind eye to any immoral actions he may take, especially if it means avenging John's death. Though he's cautioned about the danger, he's determined to see justice served. Back at Jamie's office, Ellis Steele offers his condolences for Jamie's loss, but notes it could work in their favor. Jamie believes the Duttons can't hold up construction for more than a year, which means they'll be able to get control of the ranch soon. But Beth is ready to fight tooth and nail. Both Jamie and Beth believe they have the upper hand, each convinced they're ahead in this high-stakes game. But the storm brewing between them promises a reckoning that neither may escape. In episode 11, we'll find out how exactly Beth plans to avenge her father. Is she going back into her ruthless businesswoman era who can outmaneuver billion-dollar multinational corporations and their team of white shoe lawyers single-handedly? Or is she going to get her hands dirty? If I had to guess, it'll be a little bit of both, and I can't wait to see it all unfold. Either way, we'll find out soon, and I'll be right here recapping it all for you. To make sure you don't miss the next recap and breakdown, be sure to subscribe to The Modern Cowgirl and turn on your notifications. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and share your thoughts on what's coming next in the comments below.